Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It is Tuesday, May the 5th, 2026. This is Truth News. I am Walter Bass. Welcome to the show. Tonight, we're going to do something a little different. We're going to open with a Bible verse. I usually close with one. I'll probably close with one too. You can never have too many Bible verses in a day. There's never too much faith in the Lord. So I feel like tonight the show is going to be over evil and these satanic demonic creatures, and that's what they are. These creatures are not human. We do not share DNA. They are void of any human qualities. They hide behind human features, and those features are obviously distorted. Look at Larry Loomer, Lara Trump. It's absolutely disgusting. Kristi Noem. These are just ugly people. There's not enough Botox, implants, hair, or makeup to make these demonic creatures attractive in any way, shape, or form. They can put lipstick on a pig all they want. At the end of the day, it's still a pig. So before I get into tonight's show and pay homage to the man who's responsible, one of the many people responsible for these videos that I make every single day, we're going to get into the Bible verse. It's going to be Ephesians 5:13 through 16. But all things become visible when they are exposed by the light. For everything that becomes visible is light. For this reason it says, "Awake, sleeper, and arise from the dead, and Christ will shine on you. Therefore be careful how you walk, not as unwise men, but as wise, making the most of your time, because the days are evil." I think that's actually fitting in this day and age and what's going on in our nation and our country. The obvious and blatant evil by this satanic occult of demonic creatures is unparalleled, unheard of, unimaginable. I never would have thought in a million years I would see something like this in my lifetime. I was born in the 70s, grew up in the 80s and 90s, and I long for those days. I long for the days when human beings treated each other with decency and respect, and camaraderie was in the country, and family was a main priority. And it is really sad what our nation has been brought to by this group of demonic creatures. And we're going to talk about the evil tonight because Baron Coleman on his show. I watch Baron Coleman almost every night. He's not on tonight. I watch Candace Owens today. I watch her pretty much every day. And they both agree that what's going on right now is a spiritual war. It is undoubtedly just evil versus good on a scale we've never seen before. And Charlie Kirk was a physical casualty of a spiritual war. And I wholeheartedly agree with that. And Candace had a really good show today, connecting the dots. If you want to go check out her show, we all know where this stems from. We all know about the synagogues of Satan, the sons of hell, as the Bible says. We're all familiar with that. We all know where the root cause of this comes from. So before I get into tonight's show, let me pay homage to one of the men responsible for these YouTube videos I make every day. Kelly L. Hansen kidnapped and violently sexually assaulted my 7-year-old son 1,699 days ago. I haven't seen or heard from my son since 2021. I am told by Capitol Police Intelligence my son is dead to stop calling them. I have been placed on 4 mental health holds, kidnapped involuntarily, attempted to be drugged against my will, all for reporting serial child killer, rapist, torturer, murderer, and trafficker, State Judge Kelly L. Hansen of Marietta, California, which is in Riverside County, because I am just a regular blue-collar guy with no money, no political connections, no fame, no platform. And he's a state judge with 17 years worth of victims of children that he has absolutely brutalized and victimized, and no one wants to hold him accountable. As we see this pattern over and over and over again in our country and with people with positions of authority or power, they are above the law, especially when it comes to crimes against children, crimes against humanity. And I'm going to try to PG-13 this episode because I know YouTube is shadow banning or suppressing my videos because of the words I use, the language, and I just speak the truth. I might do it in a harsh or abrasive way. So I'm going to try to be a little more delicate with my vocabulary and see if this message will get out further. As the more people know what's going on, the better off the future of this country is going to be. That's just the sad truth of it. So we're going to get into this. I took my notes for today's show. This is what I got to do. I did not work today. I was off. Like I said, I just got out of my 4th mental health hold for reporting child sex trafficking. That's their modus operandi, to discredit me and to intimidate me and to silence me, is kidnap me, hold me against my will, and threaten to drug me against my will repeatedly. It's just a pattern of behavior. This is their only defense to crimes against children by public servants of the United States government. And I'm not the only one this happens to. This has happened to numerous people, been going on for decades. Luckily, I'm still breathing air, unlike Georgia Senator Nancy Schaefer, her husband, Charlie Kirk, and many others. So grateful to God for that. And we're going to get into tonight's show. So these demons, and by demons I mean public servants of the United States government, they don't want your money. They don't. See, I've studied this, and they have money. They have more money than they know what to do with. That money does nothing for them. They don't need money. They can go and do whatever they want, wherever they want, whenever they want. They can hop in their little private jets with their chauffeurs and their pilots and their private chefs and just go and do as they please. No accountability, no responsibility. And they don't need money. Their name or their cult, their connections, whatever the case may be, opens any door, anywhere, anytime. They want your soul. They want your life. They don't want you to experience joy or happiness or love or beauty. They don't, because they can't experience it. See, these are just dead people breathing air. They're dead souls. They're walking corpses. The Larry Loomers, the Don Trump Jr.'s, the Lara Trumps, the Ben Shapiro's, the Josh Hammers, they're dead. They're all dead. Every one of them are just empty. They're not human beings. They're creatures. They're like earthworms or caterpillars, or, they're nothing. Absolutely nothing. And they hate it. They hate being nothing. And what they want more than anything is to feel something. So in order for them to feel something, they have to inflict evil on other people who do feel something. Because what they do is, when they inflict evil upon innocent people, like a Candace Owens or myself or whoever the case may be, when they see these people suffering, when they see them have a reaction, an emotional reaction, and get upset, get angry, whatever the case may be, it's like they feed off of that because they can't feel it. So they love to watch other people feel things. They're like cucks. Everybody knows what a cuck is, the guy in the corner who watches his wife do illicit things with other men. That's what they are with humanity. They're cucks of humanity. See, they sit in the corner. They can't feel anything. They can't do anything. They're just empty. But they sit in the corner and just inflict evil upon anyone and everyone they can. And the more evil they inflict, the more suffering they cause, the more enjoyment they get out of it. They're just demonic. I mean, Baron Coleman said this is just very dark, very, very dark. And it's something that you almost, I don't have the vocabulary for. I don't know if I can put the evil and the darkness of these people or these creatures into words. I can't think of words. Masochist is like a G-rated word when it comes to the evil these people possess, project, and inflict on everyone else. A masochist is, it's like a graham cracker in food terms compared to what these people are. These people are like maggots. They're like parasites. They're like a virus, and they just keep multiplying somehow or another. I don't know how so many people are filled with so much evil, and they just keep going. I just, and I'll get into that in a little bit more and later in the show. But they want to take everything from you. They aspire to make you as dark and as ugly and evil and empty as they are. They want everyone to feel like they feel, which is nothing. They hate themselves. They hate their lives. They hate everything. They're empty except for the hate that they're filled with. And they want to take that hate and just spread it everywhere. And I've never seen anything like it. Never thought I would see anything like this in the United States of America. I mean, I've been around some mean people. I've been around some twisted people who were masochists, who just were who like to inflict pain on others and laugh about it. But on the level and scale that these people are doing it is beyond belief. And I'm getting into this tonight because, like I said, Baron and Candace both touched on it. This is spiritual. This is not physical. Charlie Kirk was a physical casualty of spiritual warfare. And I think that in order to fight something, you have to know what you're fighting. You have to know what you're up against. You can't fight an opponent you can't see or don't know how to fight. You know, you don't fight a boxer with a jump rope or whatever the case may be. And maybe that was a bad analogy. But you can't engage with something or someone if you don't know on what level to engage them. For instance, I can't have a conversation with a person who speaks Mandarin and doesn't know English, because they don't know English and I don't know Mandarin. Therefore, we can't have a conversation. Therefore, we can't engage. So, these people are demons. They're evil. And you have to know what you're engaging with. That is why I stay with my Bible every day. I read my Bible every day. I stay in my routine. Prayer, meditation, gym, eat healthy. Because you have to stay mentally, physically, spiritually, and emotionally sound to deal with these demons. And they are relentless. Relentless. And they have numbers. And they are in positions of authority and power across this country. Whether it's law enforcement, state judges, politicians, cabinet members to president, prime ministers. Make no mistake. All evil. Every one of them. So, I've watched these demons, how they feign being human. They pretend to be human. They say the talking points of the empathy and compassion and care and concern. They have the talking points, but they don't possess the human qualities to manifest at what they're speaking. They can't feel anything. They cannot empathize. They have no conscience. They have seared their conscience. And I'm going to get into that, a seared conscience. Because that's in the Bible, hardened hearts and seared conscience. These people don't have hearts. And they don't have a conscience. Therefore, they're not human. Because all human beings possess a conscience and a heart. They express compassion, love, empathy, gratitude, remorse. Those are human traits and qualities. The United States government and law enforcement and intelligence agencies possess none of those qualities. Absolutely none. So I've watched these people, what they did to Charlie Kirk, what they've done to so many people, how they get close to them, infiltrate them, using those talking points, feigning human qualities. And then when they get close enough, they're like a snake. They just wrap around them and just choke the life out of them. Literally choke the life out of them. They take their soul, they take their spirit, they take their humanity, and they just leave them for dead. We've seen this play out time and time again. Cancel culture, public assassinations, whether it's plane crashes, selfing, people offing themselves, whatever the case may be. We've seen it. We know what it is. And this is a cult. It's a masochistic occult that has a death wish for mankind. They just have it in for everyone. The Ben Shapiros, the Josh Hammers, the Erica Kirks, Andrew Colvetts, Pete Hegseth, Trump, Caroline Levitt, Pam Bondi, Kash Patel, all of these people are part of a cult that hate everything and everyone. They have no love for themselves. They have no respect for themselves. And if you don't have respect for yourself, and if you don't have love for yourself, it is impossible to have respect or love for anything or anyone else. I wouldn't let these people near my dog, and I mean that wholeheartedly. No way would I let any of these demons near my dog. I would be afraid of what they would do. It's just sick and disgusting. And we're at the 17-minute. I always look in the top left-hand corner of my screen because that's where my timer is. And I always try to keep these at 30 minutes. So I'm going to try to get through this because I did take a lot of notes and it's a lot to discuss. But these people, these demons, I can't say people. They're not people. We don't share DNA. These demons are just full of hate and evil and void of a conscience. And that is a deadly, deadly combination. It's one thing to be a hateful person, but if you still have a conscience, you won't act on that hate. You'll restrain yourself because your conscience will tell you, as much as you would love to lash out behind your feelings of hate, your conscience will stop you and say, no, you can't do that. So the conscience is like the governor or the boundary setter for human beings to behave as human beings. It's the conscience. And when someone doesn't have a conscience, the capabilities of their evil and their cruel and inhumane actions have no limits, no boundaries, none whatsoever. All bets are off. Fully capable of anything. These are the type of people that could kill a newborn child and sit down beside the corpse and have a plate of spaghetti and have a dinner conversation as if nothing ever happened. And that is not an exaggeration. None whatsoever. That is not being hyperbolic. That is not a stretch of the imagination. That is not an exaggeration. That is the truth about the public servants of the United States government. I mean, I've seen it. I've witnessed it. I've experienced it for 1,699 days. And I'm just one person, and I'm not famous. I don't have money. I'm just a regular guy trying to go to work, pay my bills, and I'd like to take my son to the park or go camping or go fishing, and they refuse to allow that. And from what I understand, I'll never experience that with my child ever again. Per certain detectives in the state where I live, Per Capitol Police Intelligence in 2024, who told me my son was dead. I'll never see him again. Stop calling. And I'm not a Candace Owens. I'm not a Tucker Carlson. I'm not a Megyn Kelly. I'm nowhere near that level. Would never want to be. I wouldn't want to be on a platform like that, because the bigger your platform, the bigger the bullseye is on you. Look at Candace Owens, what she endures. And I got to say, the amount of respect and admiration I have for Baron Coleman and Candace Owens to stay on this Charlie Kirk investigation, despite all of the backlash, all of the attacks, Candace with the numerous lawsuits, just got another one, she stays the course. Her commitment, conviction, and courage is unmatched by anyone in this day and age I've ever seen. And to be a woman and to have the conviction, commitment, and courage that Candace Owens does, if there were 5,000 men in this country with the fire and conviction of Candace Owens, we could probably save America. And I don't think I'm exaggerating. So kudos to Candace Owens, full respect. And Baron Coleman too. Even though he's not enduring the lawsuits or the attacks that Candace is, Baron has never let his foot off the gas once. Never. He stays pedal down, moving forward, consistent. And I admire that. They call commitment crazy in America these days. Commitment and passion, if you combine those two, that's what you get when you have Candace Owens and Baron Coleman. And that's me with my son. Commitment and passion. I love my son, and I'm committed to the truth in regards to the crimes against humanity that happened to my son by the man who did them, Kelly L. Hansen. Commitment and passion. They hate it. They say you're a nut job, you're a lunatic, you're crazy. And everyone knows this. Everyone knows their tactics. They do it to everyone. So we're going to go on. Now, I was thinking about this today when I was taking these notes. I was thinking, how did we get, and I think it's a lot. How did we get here as a country? How did 340 million Americans arrive at the United States of America in its present condition in 2026? And it's the repetition of evil for decades. And people saying, well, it don't affect me. It's not me. Better you than me. Glad it wasn't me. I had a lady one time, I was in California, Fallbrook, California. And I was begging for help. The FBI was retaliating against me. I was living in my car. I couldn't get a job anywhere because they falsified my background. My mom couldn't send me Western Union, or Western Union was terminated. I had no access to any resources, no financial resources whatsoever. So I was literally begging people for money. I had my case in my hand, all my evidence, and I would tell people what's going on. Hey, my son's a victim of child sex trafficking. Here's the evidence. I need some help, please. And I wasn't trying to stay in a motel room. I was perfectly content sleeping in my car. I was just trying to eat. Make sure I had a razor to shave with, or some soap to take a shower with at the gym. Anything. Make sure my dog had dog food. And I was living bare minimum. I went days without food. My dog always had food. I made sure my dog always had food. I went days without food. He would eat every day. And I had a lady in Fallbrook, California at a park. I'll never forget. I was walking my dog, and I had gone to my car, and I saw her, and she looked like she had a family, children. She's probably around my age, late 30s, early 40s. And I said, ma'am, could you please help me? I said, my son's a victim of child sex trafficking. Here's the evidence if you want to look over it. I'm not a scam artist. I'm not trying to take anything that is unnecessary. Just a few dollars so I could make sure and have a meal for today or something. And she said, I'm glad my kids are grown. That was her response to me asking for help for my son, 7 years old, being a victim of child sex trafficking. Her response was, I'm glad my kids are grown. And that's the mentality that got us here. I'm glad it's not me. Better you than me. Ha ha, like the Nelson from The Simpsons. Ha ha. That's what we've become as a country. Ha ha. It's disgusting. It's disgusting. It's sickening. So I'm gonna wrap this up. So these demons, and I thought about this. How do you get to this level of evil? And it's a gradual process. I don't think anyone is born evil. I don't think that happens. I think it is developed with repetition and exposure and no accountability. That's the key. As long as you can repeat evil and avoid accountability, it's like an addiction. It grows and grows, and you need more and more and more. And it made me think about serial killers. I'd watched a documentary about these serial killers, and they were saying how most serial killers start out murdering or abusing animals. Most serial killers start with kittens or dogs or puppies or birds, whatever the case may be. And it's a gradual process into taking another human being's life. And then, that becomes a process where it becomes more and more and more. And I do believe that's how we've gotten to where we are with the Larry Loomers and the Ben Shapiros and the prime ministers and the presidents. I believe we've gotten here by repetition of evil with no accountability. And it's killing our country. It's killing our society. And right now, there's not much hope for America for the future. None as far as I'm seeing. My faith is in God. My hope is in God. I've about given up on humanity, literally. I am grateful to my job even after all of this. I'm going back to work tomorrow, and I don't want to name them on this podcast because I redact as much personal information from people as possible. But I am grateful to my job. They're allowing me to go back to work. They do empathize with my situation. They do understand what's going on, as we all do. And, it's the best we can do with what we have. So another thing is, how did we get to so many people? I'm going to try to wrap this up. We're at 27 minutes. And I thought about this too. How did we get to so many people? How did we get to an entire Congress, an entire presidential cabinet, entire intelligence agencies? I'm talking U.S. attorneys, state judges, law enforcement. How did we get such a conglomerate of evil? And I thought, they just groom. I think they take these interns in and they groom them for evil. With the White House interns, their aides and their staffers and their training and their academies. I think all of these institutions are literally grooming evil to continue the cycle of evil. I think they're just an evil machine that just keeps churning and churning and churning. And they keep getting, new recruits fresh out of high school or college. And they groom them for evil. That's the only explanation I have for where we are as a nation, as a society. So, that being said, we're at the 28-minute mark, and I'm going to wrap this up. And like I said, I want to do this show about evil because of what I've experienced, because of what Baron Coleman said last night on his show, how this is beyond the physical. This is spiritual. This is evil. And I truly wholeheartedly believe that. Candace Owens agrees with it, and I think a lot of people can see this is not normal human behavior. This is satanic, demonic evil on full display for the whole world to see. So with that being said, I want to remind everyone that if you think I'm glad it's not me, or it's not happening to me, or if it don't happen to me, I'm not worried about it, it's none of my business. Not choosing to stand up for what's right, not choosing is a choice. And it's actually the worst choice you can make because you are leaving yourself open for whatever may happen. When you actively choose to do or say what is right or what is truthful, you're actively choosing the best course for your life. Now, your circumstances might not be the best. You might be retaliated against. You might be punished for standing up for what is right. But you'll have your soul. You'll be able to sleep at night. You'll be able to look yourself in the mirror, no matter where that mirror is, whether it's in a jail or a hospital or a mental health place. You'll be able to shave and look in the mirror and say, I know I did what's right. And if doing what is right was easy, everyone would do it. Obviously, it's not easy. If it was, everyone would do it. We wouldn't be in this mess as a country if doing what was right was easy. So, in the words of Jesus Christ, pick up your cross and follow me. That's what he said. Pick up your cross. You're going to suffer. That's part of serving, is suffering. That's what you sign up for. So, with that being said, like I said, I tried to edit my language a little bit tonight to see if the algorithm will allow me to distribute this video. As always, I copy this link and send it around the country to Barron, to Candace, to Midas Touch, Julie K. Brown, Elizabeth Lane, Tucker Carlson. I don't know if they're receiving them. I have no idea, but I will keep doing this every single day until I get my son's remains back home, or until I get closure in some way, shape, or form from the United States government, who kidnapped, violently sexually assaulted, and presumably murdered my son per Capitol Police Intelligence in 2024. And we're going to close with a Bible verse. We opened with one, we're going to close with one, and we're going to close with Revelations 3:9. And I believe this is applicable in the situation we find the United States of America in. Behold, I will make them of the synagogue of Satan, which say they are Jews and are not, but do lie. Behold, I will make them to come and worship before thy feet, and to know that I have loved thee. See, Jesus said he will make your enemies a footstool if you stay at his right hand. And I have explained to these people for nearly 5 years that I serve my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, and I will die for Jesus Christ. I understood when I gave my life to Jesus what I was signing up for. I understood the deal and the terms and the conditions of surrendering my life to Jesus. It meant persecution. It meant ridicule. It meant being mocked, being spit on. It meant perhaps losing my life. And I agreed to those terms and conditions. So, ladies and gentlemen, as always, thank you for your time. Thank you for your attention. I go back to work tomorrow, and after work, I will come home, do research, take notes, and do this video all over again, all because the United States government sells stolen children, and I want my son back. God bless everyone. Thank you, and good night.